Hey everybody, Steve Fretzin here. Welcome back. It's Be That Lawyer. We are rocking and a rolling every single week, twice a week, bringing you the most amazing people you'll ever want to hear talk about legal stuff. And today's no different. I got Jordan waiting in the wings. How's it going, my friend?
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't a very excited way of saying you're excited. You should be like, I'm excited.
Thank you. I'm thrilled, Steve.
Yeah, you just needed some direction, right? That's all. That's all.
Like a
Get
cattle
you all wired
prod
up.
to get me going.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. I'll send you one. No, but I'm so happy you're here, and we're gonna have a really rich conversation today. Let's start off with a quote from like my first like sales mentor, author Napoleon Hill. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So, welcome to the show, and share a little bit about Napoleon Hill in that quote.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up because I'm extremely into metaphysics, quantum mechanics. I think that's a huge part of when people talk about marketing as a lawyer, their subconscious reprogramming. Do they think what's possible? And even just reality shifting, right? Moving to a new timeline.
Mm,
Matter. I'm obsessed with all this stuff. So I would just counter it by saying, yes, everything starts with the mind.
yeah.
Every moment, even your reticular activating system, when you get into a certain mindset, some people talk about the game where it's the red car. If you think about a red car and you tell yourself about a red car, you'll see red cars all day long.
Yeah.
And it works that way with business. If you see yourself as someone who's struggling, you'll see that reflected to you in the outside world constantly.
Yeah. The subconscious has so much to do with how we live our lives and how we behave and how we, have a positive attitude, a positive outlook on things. And, lawyers get a bad rap in some ways because they're, perfectionists, because they're risk averse. And there are some that are, negative. And I think there's got to be ways that I work with that. Most of my clients aren't negative, they're positive, but, everybody gets in a funk. I mean, what do you do when you get in a funk?
I meditate a great deal. I meditate an hour a day, and people think it's just about relaxing and stress management. No, it's about conquering the thoughts. The thoughts tend to run the show. You cannot move from one quantum existence of point A. Say you're a lawyer that has a 20-person law firm and you want to get to that 200-person law firm. You can't move between that if you continue to buy into the story of person A, which is the old you, which is formed by your childhood, society, maybe everything from getting too involved in, establishment thinking, credentialism, a certain rigid way of thinking. And so that's the biggest thing for me. I mean, that's as important to me as going to the gym.
Yeah, and I do TM, and that meditation is it's thinking about nothing. It's meditating where you empty your head of thoughts. Is that what you're talking about, or are there things that help you as you're meditating to think of things or to control your mind in a way that's more productive?
I'm trying to basically release them, right? A lot of people, they think when a thought comes in, oh, I don't want that thought. I don't want to think about that. Don't do that because you're energizing it and you're resisting it and you're basically latching onto it. I use it as a way of treating the thoughts like clouds that can float by.
Mm,
And for me, I come from, a lot of trauma in my youth, a lot of overthinking. And so I'm someone who has to work actively to not sort of glom onto these thoughts that are destructive and let them go by. And as time goes by and you shift into being a new person, the thoughts get quieter.
yeah. Well, you guys didn't think we were going to get so deep so fast, but it happens sometimes on this show, and that's okay. We are going, we're going to be getting deep, and we're going to be going wide and doing the whole thing. I've got Jordan Whelan here. He is the president of Gray Smoke Media. And give us a little background. You mentioned a troubled youth, and then obviously you've overcome a lot in your life. So catch us up on how you came to be running a media company.
Yeah, I started early 20s. I worked in television and radio. I had a newspaper column. I was a producer, all things media, very circuitous journey. And in my late 20s, I would say mid 20s, I started working with a law firm in Toronto called Diamond and Diamond. At the time, there were probably 25 people. And over the past decade, I've basically grown them to be the largest personal injury firm in the country and the largest real estate law firm in the country. I also grew the largest divorce firm in Toronto. Great Smoke Media used to be sort of a generalized marketing firm where we would bring all these elements of media and SERPs and digital marketing and all this stuff I learned from being an autodidact. But over the past 2 years, I really niched it down to just serve lawyers because in some ways they tend to actually be a great client if you can find the right ones because A, they're billing, so they're distracted. They're not boring you with their emotionalism and trauma, which I tend to love.
I hadn't thought of
Um,
that. Okay.
secondly, I get the right ones, the right ones.
You haven't been talking
Secondly,
to divorce attorneys too much.
I've had a
Or the
couple
criminal
divorce
attorney. Oh
attorneys,
my God, they got to
but
have, they got to be, they like stone those people.
I mean, I used to have a divorce lawyer as a, or sorry, defense lawyer as a client, and he used to call me for 3 minutes a month. And I loved it because it was all about the numbers. And I was, that's what I'm into. I just want
Yeah.
to say, hey, you're up 4x. I made you this amount of money. Great,
Yeah.
thanks, bye. So they tend to be great clients, but that space is it needs a lot of disruption, and the type of people that go into this space with an open mind and are creative, left and right brain, tend to do really well. And so that's how I changed my agency to sort of be the only all-in-one legal marketing firm for lawyers, where you can come to us from media buying and SEO, reputation management, social media, kind of a one-stop shop instead of hiring four agencies with a lack of symbiosis.
Yeah. So we've got lawyers that are solos, we've got small firm, we got big firm and everything in between, every practice area. So when we talk about marketing, we have to be a little bit careful because, SEO to some is might be a foreign language and et cetera. So let's talk about marketing generally, and what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see lawyers making in investing in marketing or just trying to do marketing?
The biggest mistake is their website.
Mm.
That needs to be when you're starting infancy stage. That needs to be everything needs to go into that. And I don't just mean technically. I don't just mean mobile optimized, speed, etc. I mean the feelings that it evokes when I load your website. If I'm a woman and there's 12 guys on the main rotator, then I don't see myself represented. That might be something. It might be the fonts that you use. But also, what's crazy is some people will operate a law firm for 15 years and not know their unique value proposition.
Yeah.
They think that they're interesting enough on their own. They think that, I'm doing well. And it's like, that's great. But if you want to get to that final echelon, what are you selling? What do people feel? And then the second thing I would say is sort of investing marketing spend for ego. You know, a lot of realtors are guilty of this, buying a billboard just so your friends see it,
Hmm.
buying a billboard without thinking about the creative, making it too complex. I'm driving by for 3 seconds in my car and I look at your billboard. I might have only have time to remember the website that you have up or the phone number. I don't have time for a lot of text.
Hmm.
Um, so I think it's a lot of the time, and the lawyers that do well aren't guilty of this. It's thinking that they know better. It's thinking that they don't need to be deferential to a marketing agency because they did well in law school and they're known as they're smarter than the average bear. And I think if you can kind of humbly look into another agency and say, hey, I don't know what I don't know, can you tell me? And I find, I credit Diamond and Diamond with that. They hired people that knew what they were talking about, and they knew when to be quiet and listen.
Yeah. What are like a few aspects of the buyer persona or identifying, who you should be marketing to? Because I can market to everybody, or I could market to, rich, white males that are in, do this, that, and the other type of industry. How do people figure out, like, what are some things they should be looking into to identify where they should be spending money based on their buyer persona?
So it depends on the type of law, right? Personal
Well,
injury law, if it's at the highest level, you don't really want to market to the person making 250 grand a year because they're in a social circle where they're going to get a recommendation. Personal injury law tends to market to blue collar a lot because there's a lot of income loss. If I'm the bricklayer who can't use my hands now for 25 years, there's my income loss. So that tends to be the one kind of market. What's interesting about divorce law in itself is that 70% of divorces are initiated by women.
mm,
And so I had a client that was a divorce lawyer running radio ads. We ran them on a female dominated station, and we ran them at a time we found out by doing our own research. We found that couples fight the most at around 8 o'clock before they go to work. And so we ran ads solely between that window to target women,
mm.
which was interesting. I can't speak much to every single kind of area of law specifically, but I think if you run into a lot of people try to appeal to everyone. I don't think that really works. If you're going to sit in that elite echelon of, sorry, I don't know, someone's at my door, elite echelon of top lawyers, you kind of need to stick there. And with personal injury law, you can kind of go a little more wide ranging because everyone gets injured and it's recession-proof industry, but it really just depends on the type of lawyer.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, when I load your website, what do I feel? And to me, that's huge.
Hey, everybody, do you ever wonder why top executives and athletes are so successful? It's typically because they have a coach, someone that is looking at them from the outside to identify their gaps, identify their potential. That's what I do. I'm Steve Fretzin, and I'm here to help you be that lawyer. If you're interested in a free consultation, click the link below and we'll get together and we'll identify where you can make improvements to be that lawyer. Yeah. And I think also the website, what's the call to action? Like, all right, I feel that this is a place of expertise, a place that can help me, a place that gets me. Like they're targeted to me and I'm feeling something. And then how do they do at that conversion? What are some conversion best practices that you're seeing now that maybe weren't around 10 years ago?
Some great ones that I do for clients is, and again, if you're talking about smaller people who don't have big budgets, little things they can do, micro offers. So I come to your website and I am, personal injury case value estimator, divorce readiness checklist, PDFs that you can give to people. That's a huge thing. The other thing that's you can do on a small level, if you're just a small law firm, is you can just make videos. Everyone has an iPhone. Everyone has a personality. We're talking all day long.
Well, almost.
Yeah. Well, let's not go crazy. Yeah. Those people would be quickly left behind, let's say. But little things like making specific videos. I mean, with AI and the emergence of AI, I always say what's going to counter AI is humanness. So if you lean into what makes you human, what makes your law firm human, what makes, you're using your clients' stories, that's how you connect with people. And that's something that's not going to fall to the wayside over the next little while.
Yeah.
But even like there's cheap ways to get clients. I mean, I sort of think of it like this. There's tons of inroads to your website. Yes, there's SEO. Yes, there's AdWords. Yes, there's social media. But when I search you, a Reddit thread comes up, and maybe you haven't responded to something that someone said there, and it's turned off 500 people. Have you got on Quora? Have you responded to questions on Quora? Have you linked back to your website? Have you got to LinkedIn? I mean, there's so many inroads that are coming into your website that you might not even think of. YouTube comments, respond to those. People just don't think of the cheap ways to generate traffic.
Yeah, and I think that's a good direction to go down because there are people that have massive budgets for websites, SEO, pay-per-click, big campaigns, millions of dollars. And there's people in the B2B space and the B2C space that would prefer to be on a shoestring because I think there's some things that have leveled the playing field, right? Social media, video, where I used to do 3 camera shoots with makeup and lights and the whole thing to get a video on YouTube. And today, screw that. It's Zoom in my iPhone. So
Right.
what are a couple of, I don't know if we want to call them hacks or just inexpensive ways for lawyers to get business in the door or to at least work on building their brand?
One of the great ones, if we're talking video, is it's called geostacking. So it's something what you can do if you're making short videos, you can target them for different neighborhoods. So TikTok and all. When we talk about SEO in general, it's really important for people to remember it's not just Google. People think SEO is just Google. No, all these search bars on all these platforms are now acting like Google. YouTube bar, TikToks are showing up in Google results. So you always have to optimize for specific things. And if you're a lawyer and you want to make videos about what to do after a car accident and you're a lawyer in California, you would make different videos. What do I have a case for my car accident in San Diego, California? Next one, I just got hit by a motorcycle in Oceanside, California, and it's going to pop up for all of those. And it's so important to remember with SEO, like that traffic's always there. So if you're in a niche where there's 200,000 searches per month for motorcycle accidents in Southern California, whatever it is, that traffic's going somewhere. Right now it's going to your competitors. So whether you pick that, 20% of that up on Google, 5% of it up on TikTok, there's this massive interplay going on now where you really have to be everywhere, unfortunately, and it doesn't have to be so daunting for small lawyers. You can get there's programs like Metricool where you record a 60-second video, it'll post it to Pinterest, YouTube, Threads, Facebook, TikTok, all those, and you're just picking up traffic from all those platforms for $15 a month membership.
Yeah. I just set up to get a second podcast going, and the production company that's going to help me do this podcast, one of their main platforms is Metricool. So for every 20-minute podcast they do, they're going to have 15, 20, 30 videos and blog posts and all kinds of stuff that they're able to create around AI, their team, Metricool. And I mean, I think there used to be Hootsuite was kind of a thing, but I think the problem with Hootsuite was, it's for posting on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all this stuff, but now everything needs to be customized for that particular brand of social media. And I don't think Hootsuite, at least initially, was sort of doing that. And I don't know, does Metricool do that?
Metricool does it, and also with Metricool, you want to be optimizing your title to think, could this also end up in search results, like I was mentioning, right? So be very careful about the title that you're using, because you not only will you pick up traffic on TikTok, which isn't the best, by the way, it's not the best place for lead generation for lawyers at the end of the day. Social media doesn't compare to SEO for lawyers; it just doesn't. But that being said, if that very TikTok about that niche topic about I just got served with divorce papers, what do I do? If that's going to show up in YouTube results, or sorry, Google results, if you title it properly, take the time to figure out how am I going to title this properly and do different videos for each sub niche, right? It's not just cities. I got divorce papers in New York, but also do them. I'm a woman who just got this. I'm a man who just got this. I'm a father who got this. That traffic is there. It's hundreds of thousands of searches. And even if you're a small law firm, this is something that might take you an hour per week just to do.
Yeah, and I think again, as we discussed from the beginning, like B2C different than B2B, plaintiff side, defense side, and I'm working with a lot of IP attorneys and commercial litigators and M&A and all these different areas where they're not going to do SEO. They're at a firm. And I think that social media and video and thought leadership and writing and speaking and networking and right, there's all this stuff that they have to do differently than, sort of the pay to play model or just the content driven, SEO model, which is exhausting. And by the way, most people should delegate anyway.
Yeah, and the SEO model, by the way, isn't just a content-driven model. It's still a backlink model, right? So for people who don't know, on a basic level, backlink is just a site from another site to yours. The more authoritative that site is, say it's Bloomberg.com, CNN, linking into you, the higher you're going to rank in search results.
Yeah.
That is still a massive factor. And so you have to remember, if you're going up against a competitor who's spending 15 grand a month, I mean, these big firms in Miami, Los Angeles, PI firms are spending 20, 25 a month on SEO, which is how much you need to spend. You're not going to get anywhere, frankly. You can beat them on the smaller keywords, but on the bigger keywords, if they have that much authority already, you're in trouble. You'd be better to just go on these other routes like we're talking. But I still think SEO is absolutely the best psychologically. And I don't think anything will compare to it. If you're just spending money on AdWords every month and trying to outbid your competitor, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah. Well, you might get somewhere. There's people making, $1 billion doing it. So there are people making money doing that. I think it's just aggravating that you're having to continue to pay this massive fee to get the business in versus SEO, which you pay a big fee to get it going. But ultimately, you're not paying per click. You're getting the clicks because you did the hard work on the back end.
But it's also, what is your value when you go to sell? Because if you say we spend 25,000 a month on AdWords, we get this, and I say, hey, I've built an SEO funnel over the past 10 years, it generates 1.5 million a year. Then when you go into your multiple to sell, that's a massive asset. So it's sort of like renting a home versus buying a home.
Yeah, I
right?
like that analogy. That's really good.
Yeah, it's really important. So I think if you've built up the actual authority of your site and invested X amount of dollars, and then you say, hey, this is, it's not just also your SEO. This is their main SEO. Local SEO is not going away with AI. Your local SEO. I mean, I optimized one of my clients' local SEO pages for 3 offices. We generated almost 100,000 a month in new business just by doing that over a period of 30 days. I mean, that side of SEO is not going away. So if I go to sell my business and I say these 3 Google My Business locations are so well optimized that they're driving this many calls and this many leads per month, that person says, oh, the work's already done for me. I can just scale up in other ways.
If you're a rainmaker and you're feeling like you're on an island, you don't have anyone to share your ideas with, solve problems with, you're going to want to check out my Rainmaker Roundtables. Click the link below and learn more. So then you brought it up, so I'm going to pick on it. and I've asked a number of marketing people this, and everybody's given me a different answer, which is fine because there's no way to predict the future perfectly at this stage. But I mean, SEO, pay-per-click, Google, Bing, all the different ways that people are getting found and they're paying lots and lots of money and creating lots and lots of content. And then you've got this thing, AI that's come into its own where I know like it's completely changed how I'm searching for things, how I'm looking up things, how I'm utilizing the internet differently than I was even 6 months ago. And I think it's going to get exponentially more, involved as we go. Everyone thinks that and believes that. But isn't that going to affect the way that people are searching on Google to find a personal injury divorce attorney? Not at
Not on the
all.
local, not on the local level,
Not on the
right?
local
So
level.
if I'm in San Diego, California, and I'm looking car accident lawyer San Diego, car accident lawyer Del Mar, all the surrounding counties, that can't go away because largely that's done through Google Maps. That's what shows up when I actually search. I'm not
Yeah.
using ChatGPT right now for that, and it's also pulling from that when you ask it for, hey, I just got hit in San Diego, I need a lawyer. So I say put your resources into that right now because that is again, I've told my one client about $1 million easy in new business. I would say lean into that. And then on the AI side of things, you want to lean into how you want to start ranking for how people actually talk, right?
Yeah.
We used to rank for these specific keywords, car accident lawyer, but things like have just been in a car accident. I just broke my leg. Can I get a lawyer? That's how it's pulling. It's pulling that natural language. And then there's technical things like schema markup, which I won't bore people with because we do.
You say what?
Um, exactly. It's like another language at this point. But like I said earlier, harkening back to that, it's what makes you human. It's going to make you win out. If you are spinning your competitors' content with an AI program and they're doing the same to you, your blogs aren't going to rank.
Hmm.
But if you are a law firm that talks about your clients and their stories and leans into that and finds compassion, a computer is not going to be able to eclipse that.
Yeah. Because I know like I'm thinking about I'm going to ChatGPT, I'm searching, I want a personal injury attorney for a slip and fall in, Highland Park, Illinois, who, is, easy to talk to, is going to be aggressive when they need to be. I'm like typing in this long form search that I'm hoping will give me then the best result as opposed to a ton of ads and then a ton of people that are in Chicago and Lincolnwood and all these different places. And, you have to kind of filter through 20, 30, 40 people to figure out, I just want, give me the answer. And I feel like that's the direction it's headed.
Yeah, and it's going to pull based on authority signals. So for someone like you doing a podcast like this, it's going to say, "Oh, I see video content everywhere. I see articles. I see a social media following. I see it's actually ranking in SERPs, which means there's a lot of backlinks, which is also authority. So it's still pulling from the people that are updating content regularly, are on social media, have big backlinks. You still have to be out there doing things to rank. It's the same sort of game as Google. It's just a little bit different in that sense. But
But
if there's a
is that going
500,
to mess up the people who aren't doing these things now and
yeah,
in the past? I mean, they're just going to totally get lost at that
they're going to
point.
be left even farther behind.
Yeah. Okay.
Because now there's one beast and now there's a second beast. But both those beasts are kind of feeding from the same thing, which is general authority and activity in the
Yeah.
online
So
landscape.
someone's never written an article, they've never done a video, they've never put themselves out there in any real way. And the only way that they can get found is through word of mouth. Other than that, they're going to be dead in the water.
Right. So so they're better served by sponsoring a local hockey team or getting on the radio and running some ads because in that specific sphere where they're trying to compete, they're probably going to need $500,000 to start.
Okay. All right. So let's sort of wrap up with things that I know people are very interested in, and that revolves around sort of the alignment between how we expand and drive wealth and like grow, and also, you know, keep control of like our spend and control of our time, because that's really what's hurting is people don't want to spend time and money, but they're but they also want to grow. And so I don't know, there's no right answer for that, but what's your take on that, and how would you recommend people go forward?
I mean, I'm big on metaphysics and I'm big on not going into the external world that's in front of me and trying to fix things, that this is more of an internal game. I mean, if you look at quantum mechanics, everything's particles, electrons, photons. We know that we're basically collapsing probabilities into different realities. The what you want to do to shift realities, and I say this by the way as someone who was sick for 18 years with a chronic illness that I was told that I couldn't cure, that I cured in 60 days, and someone who launched a music career with no experience that's doing really well. The way I did those things is I assumed a new state of being. And I essentially moved into a different reality. I mean, we live in infinite realities we can shift. If you are a lawyer, and this is going to sound woo-woo to a lot of people, but the people that it clicks for and read Napoleon Hill or Neville Goddard and stuff like that will get this, is moving from point A to point B is a quantum shift. It's not so much about your marketing spend, it's about living and becoming the new person. And then the 3D reality as a reflection of you essentially has to catch up to you.
Mm.
So I do a lot of metaphysical coaching with lawyers and stuff like that who think they need to always go into the outside world and make it work without resolving what is an internal game. If you have subconscious beliefs that money is evil, that you'll never make it, that life doesn't work out for you, and that's the emanation of frequency that's coming from your heart every day and your heart chakra, good luck trying to make it happen in this outside world. Internal game is more important than any of the things that you and I just talked about for 30 minutes. So I help people on a quantum level kind of move into new realities and understand that how that works on a level. And
But
it's difficult to grasp at
give me
first.
one example of something that you would coach a lawyer on to bring out their inner best self.
Vivid visualization. The way you move into from point A to point B is you vividly visualize the new environment as if, you know, you can look at Bob Proctor, all these people talked about this in the 70s. You visualize it if it's as if it's now. You feel what it would feel like, the emails that you would get, the calls that you would get, and then you detach. And you should be doing this in a calm, relaxed state in meditation. So if I'm a lawyer and I can find a way to make 20 minutes a day, I would tell them to basically get into a calm, relaxed state, visualize the reality they want to move into as if it's happening now in all their senses. And then what you do is you detach. You do not wait for it. You do not constrict the energy. You do not desperately look for evidence. You relax and let it come to you. This is actually Hermetics, Kabbalion. This is what the elites at the highest level know. This is what they were trained when they were younger. And I didn't learn this stuff till about 2 years ago,
Mm.
but it's how I launched a music career out of nowhere. It's how I cured my illness. And it's largely because the mind is everything. The mind is
Yeah.
powerful. And you are shifting into a new reality. And you do it billions of times a day and you don't even realize you're doing it. So you
You
might
know,
as well take control of it.
yeah, and I mean, I'm a believer in that. Not in my example would be another book called The Mind Body Prescription. I don't know if you know that book, but Dr. Sarno, who passed, I think, a few years ago, basically said the mind is so powerful that it would rather give you physical things to deal with than dealing with your mental issues, right? You're not mental issues like you're psycho, but like mental problems, like you've got stuff inside of you that is unresolved or that you're dealing with. So, geez, it's sure easier to deal with my knee hurts. I'm going to go to the doctor and look at my knee versus dealing with. But to me, I know that when I have lower back pain or when it moves to my neck for no reason, I mean, other than we could say stress, that it's really in my head. That there's no injury that occurred. It's
No,
really
it's disharmonious thought patterns
there we
is
go.
actually
There we
what's
go.
going on. I don't think it's I think what presents in the physical body is evidence of something else going on, and you can dig into that.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean there isn't real injuries. It doesn't mean people aren't hurting or don't have bad backs and discs and all kinds of stuff. There's real illness and real stuff. But there's also a lot of people that aren't dealing with the mental game and it's affecting them physically. So,
Well, and also, can I just add one thing
yeah,
here?
please.
Right after people get diagnosed, and I say this as someone who had a bowel disease for 18 years, your disease tends to get really bad in the months following the diagnosis. And the reason that is because you're in it. So you're directing all your energy into it. You're on the
Hmm.
forums, you're telling people, and you're basically shifting your awareness into a reality in which it's worse and worse and worse. The people that shift their awareness into healing or healed or it's going to be okay perform way better. And that's the placebo effect. And that's why monks can go in the mountains in the Himalayas and meditate in snow for 15 minutes and not die when the rest of us would. that just proves to you how much you are creating your own reality and how
Yeah.
powerful your mind is.
Well, I think you've shared a lot of where I'm going, and I've got a new segment. What used to be called Jordan's Big Mistake, it's now called Failing Forward. Give me an example of a time where you failed forward.
I would say all times before I understood
Up to 2 years
metaphysics,
ago. Up to 2 years ago.
my entire life, I would say. Yes, I would say I was not cognizant of frequency, vibration, energy for most of my life. And the biggest way people fail is not understanding that there's so much more going on than your AdWords spend, that you are creating your reality and aligning your energy with specific people that come into your reality. You can't attract into your reality people and events that don't you're not in vibrational resonance with. And so that's how I failed, is being too desperate or needy with clients, or wanting it too bad, or holding on too tight, or also living in the past.
Yeah.
That is the hugest thing for people. They find comfort in the past and their ego wants to keep them there because it's familiar, and that's the job of the ego.
Yeah.
But it's amazing if you just do a 3, 2, 1 countdown and act like you have no past, no future, and live from that moment, how peaceful your day is.
I love that. That's a great way to wrap things up, man. I appreciate that. Let's take a moment, thank our wonderful sponsors, Legalverse Media, everybody.com. Check them out. International online publication, lots and lots of content, ways to interact with other lawyers. We've got the PIMCon conference coming up in Scottsdale, Arizona at the Phoenician Hotel. I'll be on stage talking podcasts with some amazing experts. And then, of course, the Law Her podcast. Sonia Palmer putting out content, making it amazing for women. Jordan, people want to get in touch with you. They want to hear more about Gray Smoke Media. They want to get into their inner selves and figure some shit out. Best way to reach you?
GraySmokeMedia.com, GREY SmokeMedia.com. You can book an introductory call, complimentary, or 30 minutes paid.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Is there a book, too, that gets into some of the meat and potatoes of the mind game that you really love?
God, there's so many. I love them all. I mean, I love the Kabbalion. That's like one of my favorite books. But I would say, you know what? Honestly, go on YouTube, because I don't like. This is a little depressing. I don't like to give books out nowadays because people's attention spans have dwindled down to goldfish level.
What are you talking about?
So yeah, exactly. So go on YouTube, and there's tons of videos. But I would look into the law of assumption. I don't believe in the law of attraction. Look into the law of assumption, how you can shift from one reality to the next. I do a little bit of coaching on my end, but I by no means am I an expert. So I would check that out, and I will tell you that it's magical. It really is magical once you start to understand it.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of micro learning. People that can go into YouTube and not just doom scroll and not just waste time and watch crap. I can watch cat videos too, like anybody. They're fun. But ultimately, what can I learn in this time? Because, there's just more that you can pick up these days than just ever before. So use it. Same thing with this podcast. Be That Lawyer, everybody. On YouTube, we've got books, we've got articles on Above the Law. We've got everything cooking here. And the new podcast coming out soon. So I'll make sure you guys know about that. Jordan, thanks so much, man. This was great. I met you, and I was excited to have you on. I knew that this was going to be a different kind of interview, and that's a good thing, right? We want to hear different people's opinions and different people's thoughts and how they made it happen. And certainly, there's no disappointment on that today with you.
Thanks, Steve. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. And thank you, everybody, for hanging out with Jordan and I for about a half an hour. We had, boy, a lot to cover, and hopefully you got some good takeaways, not only on marketing, but about the mind game of life. So hopefully it's helping you guys to continue to be that lawyer, confident, organized, and a skilled rainmaker. Take care, everybody. Be safe. Be well. We will talk again soon. Are you ever curious what's really holding you back in business development? Sometimes it's hard to see the label from the inside of the bottle. I'm Steve Fretzin, and I can help you grow your book of business. Get a 30-minute free consultation with me. We'll identify gaps, identify your potential, and let's take it to the next level so you can be that lawyer. Click the link below for a free consultation.